everybody, this is Joe Bartnick, and welcome to Bert Sugarman's Midnight Special Podcast. We are here on this channel building a community, collecting photos and memories of the greatest music of all time, the music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and it's still living on today on this very channel. Joining me, as always, my great producer, Mike Now. How you doing today, Mike?
Happy to be here with everybody. Happy to be reporting the news about Gladys Knight.
Yes, this week's episode is the great Gladys Knight and the Pips. Don't forget the Pips. When I was a kid, I used to love Gladys Knight and the Pips. I just love a strong woman with an incredible voice. And those Pips, I learned doing some research that they invented the high step.
Ooh. My first impression was heard it through the grapevine, but I remember cartoon versions of a dancing raisin or grape, and then the Pips. I didn't know them as the Pips, but backup grapes dancing on the vine also. And that was my first ever impression of Gladys Knight and the Pips.
And, you know, the Midnight Train to Georgia. I mean, that's one of the all-time greatest songs of all time, and that's on this channel, or it was on the show a couple times. It's on this channel a bunch, so gotta enjoy that. But last week we had an epic episode with our founder, the King. Yeah. Bert Sugarman. So let's hear some of the comments.
Yeah, when we had Bert in, it was epic, and I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did, because it's like having a living legend in your presence. And I can tell by the comments from Jukebox 45, we agree. Bert is royalty in my eyes. He, along with Don Kirshner, Dick Clark, and Don Cornelius, allowed a kid from flyover country in the Midwest to see the acts being heard on the radio. I've always been a very visual person, and adding to the love of my life, music with the visual was pure heaven. The biggest thank you of all is allowing us to relive those days in an unedited form with this channel. I can't express enough how much it means to me to have this gift, something to look forward to and treasure each week in the sunset of my life. God bless you, Bert.
Oh, what an awesome email. And I got to say, Mr. Jukebox, I agree, because, Mike, you're a little too young for this, but just seeing the bands live on television blew everybody's mind. Now you see everybody instantly. You know when the guy from the Foo Fighters, what he has for breakfast. But in those days, we never get to see bands. All of a sudden, Gladys Knight, Friday night, bam.
I think that's what added to the mystique of rock starism too. Like, you had to go somewhere, you had to get down to the boulevard, you had to sneak in. But now you see someone else's cell phone video footage of them backstage every week telling you all the details of their life, and there's no mystique.
No, and you had to make sure you set your alarm, or just stayed. Oh, it's Gladys Knight this week, or it's Chuck Berry this week, or it's AC/DC. Like, I gotta be there. I gotta. Or there wasn't even any VCRs when
there was big time fear of missing out.
FOMO, big time.
So Canadian Stud Muffin, I know exactly who this is, because I have seen his comments on our channel for 2 years now, and I already knew who we were going to talk about. Thank you, Bert. My second favorite band after the Beatles is Sparks. I first saw them on the Midnight Special in 1974, and they are still going strong today and more popular than ever. I waited almost 50 years to see the footage of the 4 songs they performed, and I was sort of bugging this channel to show it. And they did. Lots of great memories and lots of great bands. Well, I didn't take it personal, Canadian Stud Muffin, and I made sure to get those songs out for you, and I hope you enjoy them. Oh,
that's fantastic. The Sparks, I got to go Google them up.
Yeah, they actually performed at the Hollywood Bowl this year.
Really? Were they in the Motown? Are they Motown, or are they rock and roll?
They had their rock band. I wouldn't have even known who they were if they weren't for this show and doing it. And then all of a sudden, I look and they're one of the acts. And yeah, I think it was their own whole night. Yeah, there wasn't part of any special. It was just them at the bowl.
Wow. It's a big venue.
Still.
Yes. Blow my mind. I can't believe I never heard of a band that's playing the Hollywood Bowl. That's crazy. Good for the Sparks.
Well, these days, I think there's a lot of bands I've never heard of that are playing the Hollywood Bowl.
Well, I know, but the other way.
Yeah, right. All right. Margowski. Wow, wow, wow. Bert must be the most charming man in Hollywood. This was an absolutely fascinating 38 minutes. The highlight of this past year has been watching the Midnight Special. I wasn't really old enough to stay up late until about 77, 78. So these are all new to me. To be able to see Bowie's 84 floor show in perfect condition was a true highlight. I don't think younger people that grew up with MTV understand how rare it was to see some of these artists at that time. The diversity and talent on these shows was absolutely remarkable. the Joe Walsh episode, the Sly and the Family Stone episode, Steely Dan, Kiss in the beginning. The talent from the 70s is jaw-dropping. I love all the one-hit wonders as well. To be able to see B.W. Stevenson and his band nail My Maria, those vocals, King Harvest, Argent, all songs I grew up with on the radio. It really has been an absolute joy to be able to watch the full episodes. I look forward to every Friday night. Thank you, Bert. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
You know, I got to say, thank you for that email. We thank everybody who sends in their emails, their photos, their videos. We love them all. But that might have been the best written video. We love them all, but that might have been the best written email we've had in our whole 10 episodes. I mean, that nailed it. Didn't you think so?
Yeah, and getting through all of that, we have to get to our photos from our best guy, Rob.
Rob Matlock's back.
Rob is back.
He's like our house photographer.
He is, and he's right on cue with Gladys Knight, out of all people.
Oh, he just sent them in not even knowing we were doing Gladys Knight?
Oh, no, he knew, and he dug in his archive and said, I've seen Gladys, and I got the pictures to prove it.
Look at that. Gladys. Gladys Knight and the Pips from Rob Matlock. Here are some pictures from Gladys Knight concert, Shreveport, Louisiana, the Municipal Auditorium. That's so great seeing Gladys Knight in the deep south in Shreveport. That must have been sweet.
What an orange outfit. That's Midnight Special orange. Her and I matched today.
She was wearing orange, I believe, on one of the episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, she had a lot of outfit changes. That's something that you could tell that she was into. All different shows. There was at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was funny when they first hosted the episode where they were hosting the first time. The Pips were kind of just in their like cities, if you will. It's kind of in street clothes. Yeah. It's like, oh, I thought the Pips would dress up, and then bam, the next time they're totally like, you know, in their rented costumes or whatever, their nice outfits, I should say.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't know. How many different outfits did they have to tote around? I bet it was pretty legendary. Yeah, between her and Diana Ross and Aretha Franklin, like half of the wardrobe and fashion that came along with the performances in the show. Like,
oh yeah, Motown just had their own like fashion trailer.
I wonder, we'll have to go to Hollywood Bowl Motown night and see if we can get backstage and do some interviews with people about the Midnight Special.
Or maybe do a couple casinos down in Southern California.
Yeah. If you want to see Gladys Knight, she is performing this January in Southern California. Get your tickets.
In between San Diego and L.A. So she has 30 million people can show up at one time.
All right. Well, I think we're going to get in the time machine.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love the time machine.
We're going back to May 25th, 1973, the first time the Pips hosted. They'd already been on the show a few times, and they were going to be on a dozen more times, it feels like. But May 25th, 1973 was the first time they hosted, and gas was 37 cents a gallon to get to the show.
Well, I think it went up from a couple weeks ago. Feels like they're getting spiked.
The Skylab 2 space mission had just launched.
Now, that's impressive because that was a space, not a shuttle. That was a what do you call those things? A space station.
Yes, it was a manned mission. So, to my understanding, they launched up a satellite, and then they sent up a crew afterwards that boarded the satellite. And for about 15 or 16 days, they orbited the Earth, doing experiments and studying what it was like to be in space. All sorts of smart people stuff.
That just sounds like science fiction stuff.
Then after 16 days, they deorbited back into the ocean.
Wow. You know what I mean? Doesn't just sound, that sounds like that sounds like Star Wars. Like, did that really happen?
I'll pop in a couple pictures. It doesn't look super glamorous once you see how tight the quarters must have felt.
I hope they had a big refrigerator of Tang.
I think the whole purpose was that you don't have to refrigerate Tang.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's how dumb I am.
You put the powder in the liquid.
Well, but you need, I guess you can use lukewarm water. Well, where do they keep the beer? What are they doing up there? They have to have a fridge. They have a beer keg on Space Lab 2.
Astronauts drink for free down here, but they can't drink up there.
Yeah.
George Harrison had released Give Me Love in the UK.
That's a great stuff by George Harrison. I love all George's solo stuff, man. He's got a groove.
All right. Well, the number one song in the U.S. was Frankenstein by the Edgar Winter Group, and you can see that performance on the Midnight Special because they tore the house down.
That's a legendary song. You know how they always have, like, in different cities, they'll have, like, the Memorial Day 500 countdown. Edgar Winter Frankenstein back in Pittsburgh and WDV used to always be, like, in the top 5. And of course, Edgar, Johnny Winter's brother, the albinos just crushing the blues and the guitar and the keyboard.
That performance on the Midnight Special is such a psychedelic one, too. They went all out, and you just really felt like this was what cutting-edge TV for the 70s was.
Well, Frankenstein's such a lot. That's the ultimate, like, pee break for DJs, too.
All right, well, the number one movie in the country was Last Tango in Paris, starring Marlon Brando.
The Godfather himself. You know what this movie's famous for? It's a family show.
And if you're one of our younger viewers and you don't know, we can just leave it there then.
Yes, I think it's better left unsaid. It's a family show.
So one of the new segments I want to start putting in the podcast was, how about a docs and books section? So any other reading or movies or things that we can see on the artists that we're featuring, we're going to give you a list and pop them up on screen so you can check them out. So the autobiography from Gladys Knight is called Between Each Line of Pain and Glory, My Life Story. And that title comes from one of her songs, The Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me.
That is such a great song and such a great title for an autobiography.
Yeah. So you can check that out. And then if you want to check out the documentary Summer of Soul, streaming on Hulu and Disney+, that has a bunch of different Motown performances in it. It isn't about them directly, but you can see Gladys Knight and the Pips performing in that documentary.
Oh, that sounds fabulous because I love Motown.
Well, you want to dive into some Motown facts as we go through?
Yeah,
the
some
history of
Motown,
Gladys
some
Knight and the
non-Motown,
Pips?
some pre-Motown, some post-Motown.
Well, pre-Motown, Gladys began singing when she was 4 in the church choir, and then at the age of 8, she was winning awards.
Isn't that the way almost everybody on this channel started in the church?
Yeah, you got an audience, a very kind audience most of the time.
Yeah.
It's a good place to start off. So many drummers come from there, too.
I'll tell you what, the drummer, I went to we have a church around the street from my house, and we always go Christmas Eve. The band was smoking. They had like 6 singers. I thought it was a Motown revival. It was fantastic. I didn't even I'm like, is the dude going to come out and talk? And then he did. But there was like 25 minutes of music. I thought B.B. King was going to walk out.
2 of the kids who grew up with me playing in the band at my church both play in Nashville in different country bands now.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, brothers. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
So they have the family band thing going, parents who played music, and in the church. So they had the trifecta. They were meant for it.
Yeah. Well, if you'll see, it's a family. The Pips are a family affair.
Yeah, the origin story of the Pips comes from a family birthday party when the record player broke and the kids decided to put on a performance. They were so good that Gladys's mother said, "You guys should start a singing group." And they formed the Pips, named after James Pip Woods, which was one of the cousins.
You know you have to be good when the uncles and the dads let you sing.
Or a football game wasn't on. And
Yeah,
they just
exactly.
lucked out.
Okay, the founding members were Gladys Knight, her brother, Merrill, Bubba Knight. I love how you get Bubba from Merrill.
Yeah, that's just because Merrill is hard to say. And it's like, Bubba. Hey, Bubba.
Yeah. Sister Brenda Knight and cousins Eleanor Guest and William Guest. Brenda Knight and Eleanor Guest eventually left the group, and they were joined by Edward Patton and then a non-relative, Langston George. And that's kind of the Pips that we really know is Merrill, Edward Patton, and Langston George. Those are the ones that they're the Pips that everyone knows and loves.
Yeah, those are the ones we see on the Midnight Special. Yeah. And for any of our new fans that might not know, Gladys Knight's nickname was the Empress of Soul.
There's not too many that's one of the baddest nicknames ever, the Empress of Soul.
Yeah, like on the ratings, it's like Empress. Like, where do you put that? Like,
I think it's like
there's Queen of Rock, Empress of Soul. Like, yeah. How do these stack up?
Because Emperor and King it's like synonymous, right? Yeah, it's pretty much the same. That's pretty great.
All noble class.
Absolutely.
Well, Gladys recorded over 38 albums in her career, winning 7 Grammys with #1 hits across pop, gospel, R&B, and adult contemporary genres.
Yeah, I mean, she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Rolling Stone put her in one of the top 100 singers of all time.
Yeah, undebatable.
Empress.
Well, she did have some disputes in her career, if you want to share the drama with us.
Well, one big one was when she was, after having a nice career, she got signed by Motown, which was the big dogs back in those days. And she thought she was kind of put on the back burner. I think she said on the bench, because there's other acts getting the better songs, i.e. Diana Ross, and she felt that they were blowing Diana Ross off the stage when they were opening for Diana Ross and the Supremes, and it led to the eventual they left Motown.
Yeah, they were actually pulled off tour. They were the opening act for Diana Ross, and I believe they got the call and said, hey, let's come on back. Let's come on home. You don't need to be out there anymore. And the rumor has it, it's because Diana didn't need someone upstaging her as the opening act.
And also, well, that what Glass was saying was they were getting because it was like a song mills were then people writing songs, and they were saying that Diana was just getting the better songs to pick from.
Yeah,
which was really rubbing Gladys the wrong way, because you can see after they left Motown, they had some of their huge hits were not Motown hits, but they did have. I heard it through the grapevine, which we talked about before. Everyone knows that's as a Marvin Gaye song. That was originally a Gladys Knight and the Pips song, which I like Gladys Knight's interpretation just as much as Mr. Marvin Gaye's.
Right. Well, speaking of openers, there's a great story about how after the Jackson 5 opened for Gladys and the Pips in Gary, Indiana, she went back to Berry Gordy and told him that he had to sign the group.
Yeah, I mean, legend has it, Gladys Knight brought the Jackson 5, and that includes Mr. Michael Jackson, to the world. So thank you, Gladys.
Well, in the late 70s, after some contract disputes and legal issues, Gladys actually left the Pips and did her own solo album before signing back with Columbia Records and reuniting with the Pips.
Yep. Can't beat the Pips.
Yep. Speaking of Gladys's solo albums, she recorded the title theme for the James Bond film License to Kill in 1989.
That was a huge movie. In those days, whoever got to sing the James Bond theme, that was a big deal. And, also she's in that infamous song, That's What Friends Are For, with Elton John, Stevie Wonder, and Dionne Warwick. I mean, that's the all-time super group.
Gladys could also do a lot more than singing, though. She was also an actress.
Yeah, she was in the movie Pipe Dreams in 1976, where she was nominated for a Golden Globe. She was on 18 episodes of Charlie and Company with the great Flip Wilson. When I was a kid, I loved Flip Wilson. The only thing I loved more than Flip Wilson was the Jeffersons. She was on the Jeffersons, which is maybe my all-time favorite sitcom after Seinfeld. I love the Jeffersons. And she was also on Different Strokes. What are you talking about, Gladys?
You name a show, and it's possible that Gladys Knight might have been on it because she has over 46 different acting credits.
Right.
And that's crazy for someone who came up a singer.
Yeah, well, she's just multi-talented. You know what I mean? I mean, she was actually, maybe it's not even an IMDb credit, but her son and her co-own some restaurants around Atlanta called Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles. She's on Man vs. Food, cooking chicken and waffles.
That's a fun credit.
For Adam Richmond, yeah.
I want some of those credits on Food Network, maybe as a guest audience member or a guest judge.
It looks so good. She's sitting there talking, and it's Gladys just stirring the chicken. I was like, oh, man, this looks delicious. But, Gladys, man, she sang the Star-Spangled Banner in Game 1 of the World Series in 1991 in Atlanta, her adopted hometown or her hometown. And even bigger for guys like our age, she sang America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 4.
Can't you just picture Gladys around all of those animals? That is not her crowd.
No.
But the Empress of Soul,
yeah,
taking the ring.
I wonder if one of the Pips took a chair backstage.
They were part of the tag team match.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, she wasn't completely perfect in all of her endeavors. And I would say some of those is in games of Baccarat.
Well, she liked to play. She lived in Vegas. Another one of her adopted hometowns, and not rumor has it's fact, she lost $60,000 in one sitting at the Baccarat table.
When you're perfect at everything, you think you can be perfect at the table, and woo! Yeah, you can't beat Vegas, and it holds true.
No, absolutely. What's funny too about that is, she's making amends because she is now in charge of the Mormon choir. The Saints Unified Voices. She's their leader. So
I've said a lot of prayers at the poker table too.
Yeah, exactly.
Along with her acting credits, back to her playing herself on this one, she was on Dancing with the Stars in 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, still moving and dancing.
Not just the Pips that can move. Gladys can shake her rump, too. Look at that.
Yeah, and she can still be found touring today, as we mentioned.
Right. You can see her down between L.A. and San Diego in the middle of January. So you'll probably watch this and go get your tickets.
Yeah, and to prepare for seeing her live, you should check out all of her episodes. Her first appearance was April 7th, 1973, when the Bee Gees hosted the show, and Gladys performed Neither One of Us and Heard It Through the Grapevine.
I'll tell you what, neither one of us, man, that gets you right in the solar plexus. It's heartfelt. That's just a great song. She has such a great voice. I mean, I think I said this beginning of the episode. I just love a great female voice. Ever since like Give Me Shelter with Mary Clayton singing it on the album, and then of course you had Lisa Fisher live. I just love that. That's why my daughter's a singer. I love it. You know, and Diana Ross, Gladys Knight, you just can't beat it.
Well, the group returned on May 4th, 1973, when Johnny Nash hosted a few weeks later, and they performed If I Were Your Woman and Neither One of Us Again.
It's a big hit, powerful.
Yeah, and once you do it so well, everyone wants to hear it again, and it's not on demand. You can't just go back and rewatch the YouTube video over and over and over like some of you guys do. So you're on demand to come back and perform on Bert's show again.
Yes.
They finally got to host, though, for the first time, May 25th, 1973, and had guest appearances by Dr. John, Robert Klein, Skylark, the Staple Singers, and Jon Stewart.
It's an interesting episode because Dr. John comes out all New Orleans style.
Yes, and big-time confetti. We'll drop in some pictures, but that was my highlight of the episode.
But like the Mardi Gras parade, how they come dance, like the Saints come marching in, that was really great. And, one of the very first stand-up comedians doing it the way I do it, Robert Klein. Yes. And a very interesting, it was funny because sometimes that stuff gets so dated, but it was really funny.
Speaking of comedy, the way they hosted the show, Gladys and the Pips, the swagger they had on stage, the comfort in acting back and forth with each other and playing games, it was unmatched.
Yeah, I think you can see like the brotherly sisterly love between her and Bubba. You can just see like, brother and sister busting balls when she pretends to forget him at the beginning when introducing him. I thought that was great.
Yeah, and it's just like the Bee Gees before him. It's like, get a family up there. It's easy. It makes everyone at home feel comfortable. Like, I enjoyed that. They were great hosts.
Yeah, it was. They were funny. All those guys, you can just tell they're just all brothers and cousins and having a good time.
The songs they performed on that episode were Friendship Train, Daddy Could Swear, I Declare, I Don't Want to Do Wrong, and Neither One of Us Again. Once you got a hit song, you have to do it every time. Right. So I imagine they closed with Neither One of Us. They're like, again!
Yes.
The group came back, though, to kick off Season 2, September 14th, 1973, when Curtis Mayfield hosted, and they performed Where Peaceful Waters Flow.
Yes, I watched that clip, but I'll tell you, I think my favorite, I love Midnight Train to Georgia, but you know me now. The fans know me. Her and B.B. King doing The Thrill Is Gone was dynamite.
Yeah, that was the second time they hosted when they were with B.B. King. It was a great episode. They also had Focus, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Stories that episode.
I mean, The Thrill Is Gone was insane. And BB does How Blue Can You Get, which is vintage BB King on that. And Earth, Wind, and Fire. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's why the Midnight Special is special.
Right.
Gladys, BB, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
And the other one that snuck on there was Focus did Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
But Bert only gave people so much time to be able to perform. So these guys, wanting to do all of their songs in full, sped up the tempo. And everyone, it's almost a meme on the internet, that legendary performance of him yodeling and then hitting the high notes and then playing flute. Like, it is just him turning red there. But there's pictures of people who have never heard of the Midnight Special but have seen that guy's picture and recognized that from that performance. It's gone viral.
Oh, yeah. People have sent me that over the last, 10 years. I mean, he looks out of his mind. He looks like a wackadoo.
Gladys Knight and the Pips came back a final time on the final season of the show, Season 8, on May 9th, 1980, and they did a vintage performance that had a ensemble of all of their early hits, and then they also debuted some of their new songs as well.
Yeah, and there was two videos when music videos were very new. One was a Pretenders Brass and Pocket, a badass song, and the other was her old friend Michael Jackson doing Rock With You from the Off the Wall album, which everyone loves Thriller. But if you were my age, Off the Wall was, I mean, it's Michael Jackson.
Everything was a hit when Michael was around. Yeah.
That's such a great album, though. I mean, it's Off the Wall is fabulous, but it's the video. So that's how cutting edge the Midnight Special was. They were showing videos before there was MTV.
Right, and back then music videos were also debuting on television like huge events. I remember the Ghost music video that came out from Michael Jackson was a huge release.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then, there's the Michael Jordan video with Michael Jackson. I remember that one. So many classic videos. But let's share some of your memories now. Let's get into some of these subscriber ones.
All right, let's go here. Alan Gray, 9117. I first heard Gladys Knight and the Pips when I was about 5 because my cousin had a 45 of Midnight Train to Georgia in 1972. I loved it from the first listen. Alan, I think that might be the same origin story as me. Gladys Knight and the Pips, my cousin with a 45, the Midnight Train to Georgia. Right on, buddy. Yeah. That song is that's just one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah, that it's going to stand the test of time.
And it's been on, and it's on 2 episodes, so check it out.
All right, Ian Downey. Gladys is the Empress of Soul. No one can convey emotions the way she can. One of my favorite performances on the Midnight Special is Neither One of Us. No pitch control, auto-tune, or any other tricks. Just pure talent. She probably could have been doing her nails while belting it out. I finally had the enormous pleasure and privilege of seeing Miss Knight a few decades ago when she starred in Smokey Joe's Cafe. When she sang the Big Mama Thornton song, Hound Dog, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. The real deal and class act. I thank her for giving us so much wonderful music.
Wow. I would love to hear Gladys Knight sing You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. That would just be insanity.
All right, our good buddy Rob Matlock, always in.
House photographer Rob.
Yes, house photographer Rob in the house. And here's his memory of some of his pictures. I remember seeing Gladys on the 74 episode of the Midnight Special and fell in love. I told my mom I wanted to be a Pip. She washed my mouth out with soap. When her songs came on, I start singing along and doing the Pip moves. I got to fulfill a bucket list item when I got to see Gladys at the home of the Louisiana Hayride, Shreveport's Municipal Auditorium. The others seated close to me tolerated my singing every song at the top of my lungs. I got a copy of the set list from the sound tech. I still get weepy thinking about it. God bless Gladys with much talent, and she blessed us by sharing it.
Hey, Willie Barnett, 7198. The greatest female soul singer of all time, next to Aretha Franklin and the Empress of Soul. One of my favorite performances is I Don't Want to Do You Wrong. The deep emotion that came out of her voice was incredible. Love her music. I think that's the thing with Gladys is you feel that emotion.
Yeah, the Empress of Soul is exactly right. We're going to go back to it every time. But there is a passion that you believe in. And that's why I think it came back to her being a good actress too. Because there's something in being able to just sing, but there's something in being able to know how to hold out a pause just right, or just feel the moment, and that is performance based.
Well, she can convey the emotion. I think that's what makes B.B. King so great. What makes Chuck Berry so. All the greats we've been talking about in the show, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't convey your message to the people, it doesn't matter.
All right, Terry Arnold. How I adore this woman's voice and personality. A fabulous live performer, with and without her pips. I've been privileged to have seen her perform live a number of times, and each occasion has been a joy. I don't think there's a better female soul voice than hers. She has the ability to express love, longing, joy, and pain as well as anyone can. I look forward to seeing what gems the Midnight Special has with her.
There's a lot of gems.
Yeah, and we have a playlist, all 13, 14 some songs that you can just click and let them ride.
Yeah, they're all amazing.
Yeah, Gladys Knight blessed the Midnight Special for all 8 seasons because she was on so much early. I think they were repeating those performances for years within them because every couple episodes they'd slip in hey, they want to see this song from Gladys again. Hey, Midnight Train to Georgia, let's cue that up again. That would be a good one right about here.
Yeah, if you see her in the orange, click on that one. Remember, get some merch. Get a hat. Get a shirt in the Midnight Orange like Mike has. You can get the hoodies. The hoodies are sweet. Oh, I can't wait to get one of those in the mail. The DVDs, the mugs, Everything's great. You can get those on Shopify. The link is in the description below. And of course, become a YouTube member, because for $4.99, you get extra episodes of the Midnight Special every Monday morning. And then you can join us on our live chats every Friday night. And I know, Mike, you have a blast doing those.
Yeah, I get to talk with you guys every Friday. I try to answer some questions, but to be honest, you guys know way more than I do, and you guys answer each other's questions all day in there. There's such an encyclopedia of knowledge. It's just fun to sit back and listen and find out all the details of the great 70s music.
And think about it. Some questions were asked. We had Bert answer them. So if you ask a question, Bert can answer it.
Right. And this is a little housekeeping if you're here this late in the episode. Hope you've stuck with us this whole time. But if you watch some of these episodes on YouTube after the fact, you can click in and you can still see the live chat from Friday. So if you want to see some of the conversations we're having and find out who the background singers are on the Steely Dan performances, or who the drummer was in this band, that you can get all of that information right there from some of the great people in the chat who are with us every Friday. So we hope to see you guys there.
That's right, Mike. The fans have an immense amount of information and knowledge, and they drop it on us a lot, and we love it. Send more of it to us. Please submit your information, your facts, your photos, your videos, anything you got about this music or your experiences in that time in the 70s. Send it to us, and it'll come on this Midnight Special podcast. And you can do it all. You send it to the Midnight Special Podcast at gmail.com or message us on social media. This has been another fun episode, because nothing better than watching Gladys Knight and the Pips belting out tunes with either the Pips or with B.B. King. So, Mike, I hope you had fun. I had fun. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Bert Sugarman. Let's kick off 2025 with some more Midnight Special stuff. Thanks, everybody.